Hello guys, welcome back to Maison African Motives. Still on O-level mathematics, working on revisions, working on the June 2023 exam that we had for paper 2. So that was our paper 2 here. Take note, 2 hours 30 minutes. That is what we have, and also take note, you are supposed to answer all the questions that are in section A and any 4 that you're going to have from section B. Then what is important is that omission of essential working will result in loss of marks, meaning to say, if you are not showing all the working there, you're not going to have all the marks that that are given there. So make sure the working is properly given. That is for those who are to write in November. Make sure you correct these mistakes of not showing working, and also the degree of accuracy. If not specified, you must have your answers to 3 significant figures. But if you are dealing with the degrees, you are going to have your answer to 1 decimal place. Then mathematical tables, non-programmable electronic calculators may be used to evaluate explicit numerical expressions, meaning to say here we are allowed to have our calculators. All right, so that was it, guys. Make sure that you also read your instructions. It's very, very important. All right, so not wasting much of our time, we are given the first part of our question, which is on section A, question number 1. 1A, to simplify, giving the answer in standard form. So we are given here decimals, but at the end we are given our answer is supposed to be in a standard form. So this is paper 2, guys, where you are allowed to use a calculator. So the simplification part, you can just use your calculator at once to simplify, or here we can simply apply our BODMAS concept. All right, so this is question 1A. So you can even apply our BODMAS concept, which states that here in terms of addition and subtraction, what is going to start its addition, then we follow subtraction. So here we're going to add, we've got 0.92 minus 0.33. So this is a negative. So we're going to start with a plus, which is plus 0.24 minus 0.33. So you can just maybe simplify first by adding. So if we add this, like I said, this is paper 2, use your calculator direct, you are going to obtain 1.16 minus 0.33. So if you subtract these two, your answer is going to be 0.83, which is just a normal decimal. But here we are asked that our answer is supposed to be in standard form. So what you're going to do is to convert now this decimal that you have to a standard form of 8 times 10 to the power of n. So meaning to say here, our answer is going to be, just move 1 comma so that it will be 8,3 times 10 to the exponent of -1. The number of commas that we moved, it's 1. So it's going to be a negative since we started with a 0 digit. That's why we are having a negative exponent. All right. So as you can see, it was also just the same as what we had in our paper 1. We had that in standard form. So it was just a repetition that was here. Okay, Amos sold a radio for $66 and made a profit of 10%. Find the cost price of the radio. Take note, he made a profit of 10% in this case. So meaning to say, out of the 100% previously, when you bought the this radio, you bought it at 100% before selling this radio. Meaning to say, we do not know the actual price that was at 100%. But this guy now, he made a profit of 10%. A profit, meaning to say, that's an increase that we are talking about. So we are going to add 10% to 100%. So if we add 10% to 100%, this is going to give us 110%, which is equivalent to the cost now that we are given, that when you sold this radio, it was for $66. So the 110% corresponds to $66. So what is the cost price, which is the price that was at 100% before you sold this radio? So that is the concept. So as you can see, the cost price is a less, so we are going to have 100 over 110. So it's going to be 100 over 110 times the selling price that we had, which is 66. So this is going to give us the price at 100%, which is our cost price in this case. All right, so this is going to give us 60 direct from your calculator. That is going to give us $60. All right, so that is how we are supposed to attempt this typical question. Okay, on number C, we were given to share $286 in the ratio. So we are given a ratio of which we are supposed to share this amount of money of $286. All right, so that was our question C. So in this case, we are sharing an amount of $286, which is being shared in the ratio of 1:1, 1.5:4, of which 1.5 as a decimal, this is same as 1,5, guys. So you can just write it as 1,5. So it's 1:1,5:4. So this is the ratio that we are going to share this money in the ratio of 1:1,5:4. So the question is, we are supposed to share this amount, meaning we need to know what is going to be the equivalent to the one who has got a ratio of 1, who has got a ratio of 1,5, who has got a ratio of 4. How are they going to share this amount? Okay, so what we need here is the total according to the ratio. What is going to be the total? So if we add 1 plus 1,5 plus 4, we are going to obtain the total of the given ratio, which is going to give us 6,5 in this case. So what we need is, if the total of 6,5 corresponds to $286, what about the one who got a ratio from the ratio of 1? So we're going to say the one from a ratio of 1, it is going to be 1 over the total ratio of 6,5 times the amount which was being shared. We are sharing $286. So you multiply this, the zeros here, they represent the dollars like money, the cents, 0 cents. So you do not use it on your multiplication, just multiply direct. So this is going to give us 44. So we're going to obtain 44 in this case. So as the amount of money, so this is going to be $44 in this case. All right, so that was our question. We move on to the ratio of 1,5. According to the ratio of 1,5, we are saying it's 1,5 over the total ratio. The total ratio is 6,5 times the total amount of money they are sharing of 286. So if we multiply this, we are going to obtain 66. So this is going to give us 66, which is $66 in this case. All right, so that was the ratio of 1,5. The same thing from the ratio of 4. What is going to be the corresponding amount? That's 4 over the total ratio of 6,5 times the amount which is being shared of $286. So this was going to give us 176. So that's $176 in this case. All right, so that is how we're supposed to answer this question. You simply take from the ratio that you're given. Ratio simply represents a total of how you're sharing from that total that you're given. All right, so simply you can use that ratio, the total of it to the total amount. Then you can simplify further. All right, the D part we are given in this case, remove brackets and simplify. All right, so this is just a direct question. We are given D plus 3 into 6D minus 1, where we can simply expand this by the first bracket, D by 6D, which is going to give us 6D squared. Then we've got a D and a negative 1, which is going to give us negative D. We are done with D. We move on to plus 3. So it's plus 3 times 6D, which is going to be plus 18D. 6 times 3. Then plus 3 and minus 1. So it's plus times minus, which is a minus. 3 times 1, that is a 3. So if you simplify here, we've got like terms. This is same as minus 1D. So you can collect like terms. That is going to be 6D squared minus 1 plus 18 from your calculator. That is going to give you 17. So that's 17D minus 3. So utilize your calculator. This is paper 2. Do not strain your brain too much whilst you have the calculators. You can use your calculator direct. All right, number 2, we were given that t is equivalent to g plus the square root of n cubed minus m. Find t when g is -4, n is 3, and t is -9. So this is a direct question of substitution, where we are simply substituting the values that we are given into the formula. That is how we answer this question. So t is equal to g, where our g is given as a -4. So this is going to be -4 plus the square root of, so this is going to be the square root of n to the power of 3. That's n to the exponent, of which our n here is 3. So it is going to be 3 to the exponent of 3 minus m. Our m is a -9, so it's going to be minus 9 like this. So it's a minus for the formula, then the minus for the letter m. Take note here. So our t is going to be equal to minus plus the square root of, you can just simplify this part together on your calculator. Simplify everything. 3 to the exponent of 3 minus 9 like this in bracket. This is going to give us 36. All right, so t is going to give us -4 plus the square root of 36, which is going to be a 6. So here we are already guided that it's a plus, not plus or minus. We are taking the positive answer from the square root. That is what this means. So meaning to say, if we simplify from our calculator, -4 plus 6, this is going to give us a 2. So t was equal to 2 in this case. All right, so that was the first part of the question. Then on item 2, now we are asked to make m the subject of the formula. 3 marks for that. All right, so remember that we are given our formula for t, which is equivalent to g plus the square root of n to the exponent of 3 minus m. And from this part, we are asked to make m the subject. How is this possible? How can we make our m the subject in this case? All right. So how is that possible, guys, to make m the subject from this formula that we are given? All right, so let me just try to push it this side. All right, here. All right, so if you have to take note here, we have got our m, which is actually inside the square root. This is inside the square root. But before that, there is a g that we have, which is being added to this square root. Not part of, it's not inside the square root. So meaning we can simply remove this to the other side of the equation. It does not have anything to do with the square root. It is not affected by anything of the square root. So we can simply transpose this to the other side of the equation, where we are going to have t minus g. Since it is a positive, then it is going to be a negative on the other side of the equation. This part is going to remain as it is, n to the exponent of 3 minus m. Then we have to ask ourselves now, the m that we want is under the square root, and there's no way we can remove this unless we are to remove the square root by squaring both sides. So the only way to remove the square root is to square both sides, so that this is going to be n to the exponent of 3 minus m, which is equal to t minus g. Everything is being raised to the power of 2. Take note, what we need is to make m the subject. So we can simply transpose our m here. It's a minus. So once it crosses the equal sign, it becomes a positive. So we are now having m on this side of the equation. Then we can transpose the bracket that we have to the other side of the equation. Already on the right-hand side here, we are having n to the exponent of 3. So if we transpose this bracket to the other side, before it's a positive, we are not given the sign, meaning to say it's a positive here. So once we take it to the other side of the equation, it is going to be a minus. So that is going to be minus t minus g in a bracket squared. So this is in a bracket. So the minus is affecting the whole bracket like this. So as you can see, our m from this part is the subject. There is no need for us to expand the brackets to simplify anything. As long our m is the subject of the formula from this presentation, there is no need for us to expand anything. All right, so that was how we're supposed to attempt this typical question. On the B part, we were given to find the rate of interest per year when $144 earns 22.68 simple interest in 3.5 years. So this is a simple interest type of a question that we are given. So we are given, find the rate of interest per year when this amount, which is the principal amount, the money that was invested, is giving us an interest. So here we have got the principal, the interest. All right, so let's just list our information. You're given the principal in this case of $144, earning a simple interest of $22.68, and this is occurring in a period of 3.5 years, which is 3.5 years. 3.5 is same as 3.5. So that is the time frame that we are given where this interest is going to happen. That is our time, 3.5 years. And the question is to calculate the rate of interest, the rate at which this interest is going to up, which is R. So remember, from simple interest, you can simply use our formula direct that we have for interest, that our interest I is equal to, remember, our interest I is equal to PRT over 100. That is the principal times the rate times the time. So we have the interest at 22.68. That's 22.68 is equal to the principal, the initial amount, which is $144, times the rate, which is the one that we are supposed to calculate, times the time, which is 3.5 in years, everything over 100. So this can give us the value of R. Take note, this 144, you write as a whole number, not the comma 00. They are not part of our calculation. This one, so it's here. We can easily, or we can simply cross multiply. That is going to be 100 times 22.68, which is going to be 2268, is equal to 1 times 144 times this part is simply, we are going to just multiply this 144 to 3.5. So if you multiply 144 times 3.5, we are going to obtain 504 times the rate, which is R in this case. So to find the rate, we can divide by 504 both sides, by 504 both sides. So this is going to give us the rate at which this amount is going to earn an interest of $22.68. So which is going to be 4.5. So remember, the rate is given as a percentage. So meaning to say it was at 4.5% per annum, that is per year. That is how we can use our simple interest formula, this one, to calculate any part. It can be the principal, it can be the rate, it can be the time, or even the interest itself. That is how we can apply this formula direct. Okay, on question number 2C, we are now given fractions to simplify or to express as a single fraction in its simplest form, that is in its lowest terms. So if you have to check here, this was a very, 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 very tricky question. The question paper was actually nice. It was easy, but if you don't consider it properly, it was going to be something else, because here you could make a lot of mistake by not understanding the questions. So the easier the question, the more mistakes people make. That's the disadvantage of having a simple question paper. Anyways, let us see. I'm not here to make you panic, guys. No, I'm just saying, if the question paper is easy, try by all means to concentrate, especially for us guys who are writing in November. Let's learn how to answer questions properly. Let's find time to attempt questions properly. Okay. Anyways, this was our question that we are being given to express this as a common fraction, but not just as a common fraction, or not just as a single fraction, but in its simplest form. If you are to check this part here, it's something that is not usual for us to have expressions starting with a number then followed by x. We know that most of our expression, we are supposed to start by x. Having x, it can be x plus 2, it can be x minus 2, it can be x plus 1. This is what we are actually used to. So how can we have that condition in this case from the first part? This is 2 minus x. So if you have to check here, 2 minus x, if you factor out a negative in this case, okay, let me not talk about factoring out a negative. Let me talk about rearranging first. This is the same as minus x plus 2. If you have to check here, minus x plus 2, we just rearrange starting with the x, but being a negative. But I'm talking about a condition of x plus 2, x minus 1, x not being a negative. So here we are supposed to factor out a negative so that this x can be a positive. So if you factor out a negative, this x is going to be a positive. And if you factor out a negative where there's a plus, it's a plus divide by a minus, which is going to give us a minus. So this is a proper simplification that you are supposed to have in terms of our x, which makes it easier when you are simplifying. So here, this part was just going to be equal to minus into x minus 2 from this part. It's just one and the same thing. All right, everything over. If you noticed, this is a difference of 2 squares, x squared, 4. These are perfect squares. So the square root of x squared is x. The square root of 4 is 2. Remember, one bracket subtracts, another bracket is going to add, or one bracket adds, another one subtracts. Okay, minus the same thing here. It's 1 plus x. So you can simply rewrite starting with the x here, which is going to be x plus 1. Everything over x plus 2. So here there's no need for us to change anything because it's x plus 1. It's already a positive. It's different from this one where we wrote minus x plus 2. We had to factor out a negative so that it can be a positive. So here we are not factoring out anything. But if you noticed from the first part of our fraction here, there is something that is very, very common here. The x minus 2 in the denominator and the x minus 2 in the numerator, which we can cancel together. It's very, very mathematical for us to cancel at this stage if these two brackets are the same. So this is going to give us a negative 1. So if you note, on the numerator, we are obtaining negative 1 over x plus 2 in the denominator minus x plus 1 on the other part over x plus 2. If you following our revisions, I said that whenever you are having a condition of the same denominators, in this case, you can simply add or subtract the numerators that you are given, a plus or minus c, everything over b, because these are the same. That is the condition that we have. We've got x plus 2 here. We've got x plus 2 here. So what we're supposed to do is to simply combine our numerators together, everything over x plus 2. But noting that this is going to be subtracted, this part of x plus 1. So it's minus 1 minus, we are subtracting this expression of x plus 1. Everything is being subtracted. So the best way is to open the bracket so that we can subtract this properly. So this is going to give us negative 1. We multiply, this is negative, which is same as negative 1. So it's negative 1 times x, which is going to give us negative x. Then we move on, negative 1 times a positive 1, which is going to give us a negative 1. Everything over x plus 2. All right, so that is what we're going to have. Then we simplify further from this part again, minus x. We can start with a minus. So it's going to be minus x minus 1, which was going to give us a minus 2. Everything over x plus 2, which is not complete again, because at this stage, we can note that from the numerator, there is something that is common there. So what we can do is to factor out a negative from the numerator. So if you factor out a negative from the numerator, that is going to be negative. That will be positive x, negative, that will be positive 2. Everything over x plus 2. So what do you see here? X plus 2 are the same. So this can cancel, meaning to say we've got negative 1 over 1, which is going to give us a negative 1. So this was going to give us a direct number, which is negative 1, not a fraction at the end. All right. So that is how we're supposed to attempt these typical questions. Like I said, guys, if you note what you need in your simplification, Maintain proper simplification. Follow stage by stage simplification whenever you are dealing with fractions. Your factorization part, make sure that you factorize properly. Collecting of like terms, make sure that is done properly. All right. Anyways, that is what we had from the question C part, the question 2C. Then we move on to the question number 3. All right, which was on equations. 3A, it was actually on equations on number 3A. Let's see what type of equation, what do we have here? The first part is to solve the following equations. That is 3A item 1. All right, this part. How can we solve this equation, guys? How can we solve? All right, if you have to check properly here, this simplification simply means 3 over 5 times f minus 1 simply means 3 into f minus 1, everything over 5. All right. Which is equal to 1 over 5 times f simply means f over 5. All right. So if this is the case, therefore, what you can see here is, guys, the denominators are the same here. We've got 5, we've got 5. So it simply means the numerators also, they must be the same. So it simply means 3 into f minus 1 must be equal to f, just like that. Yes, I can cross multiply, or I can multiply by 5, multiply by 5 here. As you can see, this and this will cancel. Yes, you can do that, or you can cross multiply, which is the same. If the denominators are the same, it means the numerators also definitely must be the same. All right. So anyways, here you can expand your brackets. 3 times f, that is going to be 3f. 3 times minus 1 minus 3 is equal to f. Then we can collect like terms. That's f to the left-hand side. It is going to be a negative f. So minus f is equal to transpose 3 to the other side, which is going to be a positive 3. So this is same as negative 1f. So it's 3 minus 1. 3 minus 1, which is 2. So 2f is equal to 3. Divide by 2 both sides. We are going to obtain the value of f. So f is going to be 2 into 3. That is 1.5. So we are going to have our answer as a 1.5 or 1.5 or just 3 over 2 like that. Okay, so if you're solving an equation, the simplification part later on is not that important. All right, so that is how we're given our question in this case. Then if you check the other part of the question, we are given another equation again to solve for p. In this case, we are given 2 and 2/3 minus p squared is equal to 1 and 1 over 9. All right, so take note here, if you are to convert this to improper fraction, that will be 2 times 3, which is 6, plus 2, which is 8 over 3. So we're going to have 8 over 3 minus p. So this was going to be presented like this. 8 over 3 minus p squared is equal to, if we simplify, 1 and 7 over 9, if you multiply, that is going to be 9 plus 7, which is going to be 16. So that's 16 over 9. So this was going to give us 16 over 9. So remember, guys, if you're given a square like this, you can simply remove the square by introducing the square root. The square root and the square cancels. Thus, we are going to have 8 over 3 minus p is equal to, noting that the square root of any number is a plus or minus. So the square root of 16, that's a 4. The square root of 3 of a 9 here, which is a 3. Or you can just use your calculator. Square root of, as it is, this is paper 2, guys. Use your calculator as an advantage, like on these typical questions. All right. So remember, here we are supposed to solve for p. So how is it possible? How can we solve for p? Depending with how you're going to simplify it. If you want to avoid the confusion of this p, you can just leave it. You can just leave this p on this side as it is. It's a negative p. Then you transpose the 8 to the other side of the equation so that it can be a negative. Since here it's a positive, so on the other side it is going to be a negative. So our p on the left side, as you can see, guys, it's a negative. So it is going to be minus p is equal to, we transpose the 8 over 3, which is the positive one, to the other side of the equation so that it can be a negative. So that will be negative 8 over 3. But already on the right-hand side here, we are already having this part. which is the plus or minus 4 over 3. So this is not going to change. It's going to remain as it is, plus or minus 4 over 3. All right, so that is what we're going to have. So from this part, we can simplify each properly by separating the plus or minus. That means the first part is going to carry a plus. That will be minus 8 over 3 plus 4 over 3. Or the other part of minus p is going to be equal to the minus 8 over 3 as it is. Then we take the negative this time, which is negative 4 over 3. So from these two, we can obtain the values of p. But take note, we are going to have minus p first. So if you simplify properly here from your calculator, this is going to give you a negative 4 over 3. Or from the other part, if you simplify this one from your calculator, minus 8 over 3, minus 4 over 3, you are going to obtain minus 4. So take note, if minus p is equal to minus 4 over 3, what about the value of p? You divide by negative. So therefore, p is going to be 4 over 3, or 1 1/3. Or p is going to be equal to, if we divide by negative, our p is going to be equal to 4. All right, so these were the two possible values of p that we're going to have. P which is equal to 4 over 3, or p which is equal to 4, of which you can write the 4 over 3 as 1 1/3. Still, it's one and the same. All right, so that is how we were supposed to solve this equation on item 2. On number B, 3B, we are asked now to factorize completely this given expression. How can we factorize this completely? How is it possible? All right, so this is what we are given here. If you are to check, between the first two terms, there is nothing that is common. Yes, on the last two, we have got something common, but between these two terms, there's nothing common. So what you can do here is to rearrange first. We've got 4 terms, so you can rearrange. Okay, the part here, this part with t, we can take it on each part, on each side, on the other part of the other two terms on your arrangement. Then where we are having m squared and this 5mr, we can just write this together. So it's going to be 10 m squared plus 5mr. Take note, this is just rearranging. It's not an equation. So every part is going to remain with its sign. We are not going to change any sign in this case. All right. So if you note here, the first part contains of m only. The second part contains of r. So if you are to consider this, we are going to consider to say this part which contains r, this one is going to be the second part that we write after we start by writing this term. Since it's a m, then r at the end. So here we are going to start with this term, which has got which is negative 2mt. In this case, this one, negative 2mt, followed by negative tr, so that whatever that you're going to have, it follows the same order that we have. We've got r here, we've got r here. So this can make sense. All right, so by grouping into 2, yes, let's see. If we group into 2, what is the highest common factor between these two terms? 10 and 5, that is 5. M squared and m, so you're going to factor out m. So if we factor out 5m, that means if we divide 10 divided by 5, that is going to be 2m squared, and m, that is going to be m. 5m and 5m cancels. That means you'd remain with r here, so that will be positive r. Okay, what is common between these two terms? That's a negative. That's the first thing, because we've got negative here. Yes, the numbers 2 is not common, but t is common, so you can factor out negative t. That means t and t cancels, negative and negative cancels. We remain with 2m. So this will be 2m, negative cancels, t and t cancels. We remain with a positive r. So as you can see, the two brackets are the same, and this is our major part that we are supposed to have, that these two brackets are supposed to be the same, so that we are going to factor out the common bracket, which is 2m plus r, and we remain in this part, on this part, with the 5m here. we remain with minus t. All right, so that was going to be our final answer. No further simplification. There's nothing that we can do at this stage. All right, so that was actually our factorization in this case. If we check the other part again, item 2 is still on factorization. P to the exponent of 3 minus 16p. How can we factorize this one? All right, so we are given our item 2. That was p to the exponent of 3 minus 16p. So if you had to check, the first thing that we have here was that p is common. So you can factor out p, which is common. That's p cubed divided by p, which is p squared minus pa, and p cancels. We remain with 16. So after factorizing, check to see, is it, can we say this answer is in simplest form? This is not in simplest form because p is p squared. It's a perfect square. 16 is also a perfect square. So that means we have got the difference of 2 squares in this case. So if we are dealing with the difference of 2 squares, that means we need the square roots of these two terms. That is, our answer is going to be p into the 2 brackets, the square root of p squared, which is p, the square root of 16, which is 4. So one is going to subtract, another one is going to add. So that will be our answer at the end. So we're going to have p into p in p minus 4 into p plus 4, of which you can start with a positive. There is no effect. All right, so that was our question B item 2, having 2 marks for that. And C, we are given, let's see the other part of C here, what we are given. We have got a carpenter's wage depends on the number of hours she works. Take note, we are given a condition that it depends on the number of hours she works. She is paid at a rate of $3.65 per hour, meaning to say each hour she's given $3.65. So that is $3.65 per 1 hour, per 1 hour in this case. All right. Then we are now asked to calculate your wage for working 38 hours per week. So if she is to work 38 hours in a week, how is going to be the how much is she going to get as a wage by the end of the period that you are given? So what can we do? We are dealing with proportion in this case. So under proportion, whether this is going to be more or this is going to be less, what we want here is always written on top. This one is the one that we want its corresponding value. So it's going to be 338 over 1 times the amount that we are given, which is 38 hours over 1 hour times the amount of $3.65. So that is how we can simplify this. So if we multiply 38 times 3.65, you were going to obtain 138.7. But remember, we are dealing with the amount of months, so this is going to be 2 decimal places after the comma. So our answer was going to be 138.70. All right, so that is how we're supposed to have this question. Let us check the other part of our question here. Which is on question 4, construction. So we are given construction and locus in this case. So answer the whole of this question on a sheet of plain paper. Use ruler and compasses only for all your constructions. Okay, for your constructions, show all constructions arcs and lines clearly. All constructions should be in a single diagram. All right, so this was a quadrilateral. So yeah, I'm just gonna have it as a sketch because okay, the instrument that I'm having, they're not that accurate, guys. So I'm just going to have it as a sketch. I just hope you are going to understand what is needed here. So I just need these two here. All right, so what we were given, all right, why am I putting this now? Okay, no way. Let me just try to put this aside. All right, so here we're given a simple part to say this is a quadrilateral that you have, which is called ABCD, all right, with angle ABC 135, BAD 60 degrees. And so what we need here is a sketch, depending with how your sketch is given. But it's best for us to have the angles on the base. So as you can see, we've got an angle of 135, which is 60 degrees is maybe something like this. Then 135 is now much open like this. All right. So this can be just my sketch. It's a sketch, guys, this one, but you just use your ruler to draw it. All right. So here, this is A. So this can be my A, B, C. Does this make sense? Then D. Make sure that you make it in a line A, B, C, D. Okay, A, B, C, D. Okay, so that angle A, B, C, A, B, C, A to B to C. This angle here is 135 degrees. BAD, that's B, A back to D. This angle here, it's indicated at A, which is 60 degrees. All right, then the measurements are very, very important on your sketch, just to note BC 6,6. This one BC, we've got 6,6. AB 4,8, 4,8. Then AD 8,9. AD, this one 8,9. All right. So this was going to be our sketch. All right. So with this sketch, I'm just going to construct here. All right. So with this sketch here, I'm just going to construct here. All right. So let's just hope it is going to be clear. All right. So what you need here, we're going to measure your according to the measurements that you have properly. All right, but here, because these units, they are not direct or proper, so I'm not going to focus with these measurements as they are. I'm just going to draw what I think is fine for you to have here. All right, so the first thing is that we are supposed to construct the line AB. So the line AB, you just draw a line which you refer to as AB. And on this line, we do not have any measurement for now. The measurements, we are going to take them from our ruler. So what you're going to do is you mark a first point of your choice. That is the one that you're going to mention. Maybe it is going to be your point A. It is going to be your point B. I don't know which point you're going to mark first, all right? But you must have the first point that you mark on your diagram. All right. So in this case, I can choose, all right, sorry, I can choose to mark my point at this point. Let me just change here. I can choose to start with this point. So that is the point that I'm going to start with here. All right. So the point that I have marked is the point A in this case, according to my sketch. This is my point A. So from A to B, you are supposed to have 4,8 centimeters. So you measure 4,8, but in this case, as for me, it can just show me like here, it's 4,8. All right. So you measure 4,8, but you must measure it on your ruler properly. Then with that 4,8, you mark it on the other side of the line like this. So if I mark this point, it means I am at point B now. So this is my point B, which is separated from A to B by 4,8 centimeters. So this is 4,8 centimeters. All right. So that is the first stage. So this line is not drawn direct from A to B. Just make a line. It's a continuous line that you have. Make sure that you just have it's a construction. It's not a drawing. If I put this way, this is my A, this is my B, like this. This is now, this is a drawing that we are doing. We are drawing. We are not drawing. We are to construct. All right. So that is our AB. All right. Anyways, let us move on to the other part. Now we can measure our angles. We've got the angle of 60 degrees here. So this is our 60 degrees. So remember what I said, guys, for you to measure 60 degrees, you're going to have an arc at the point where we are having A. In this case, we just mark an arc. This is your A. So you mark an arc in this case along where the side here, we need the 60 on the right side. All right. So you're going to have your arc on the right side like this. You just mark your arc on the right side. And without changing the dimension, without changing this arc that we have here, without changing this distance, you mark another arc by having you step on this other arc here. Now you mark back to this arc that you have drawn. So like I said, without changing that distance, all right, you mark back to the arc like this. By marking back, we have we have made an angle of 60 degrees. By joining this, we are going to have an angle of 60 degrees, of which I could have just used my ruler direct, but here I wanted you to see how do you construct direct. All right, so this is how we are going to have it. So from here, you are just going to simply join. All right, so you simply have to join. All right, so in this case, let me just use this one for joining. All right, so this is what you're going to have, something like this. So this is from point A to point D, which is 8,9. Okay, so these are 60 degrees. We are given from A to D, it's 8,9. So if I measure 8,9 centimeters here, let me just shift it this way. I measure 8,9 from my ruler, it's going to be something like this. Okay, something like this. This will be my 8, I want 8, like this. Okay, so from your ruler, you measure 8,9, but like I said, this one can just give me 8,9 direct. So this is your 8,9 that is from your ruler. You mark that 8,9 on the line that you have drawn this one. You mark the 8,9. So in this case, you mark 8,9. Okay, so here it's because the arc that I was having before is short. All right, so I'm going back to this arc and extend it. Okay, so I'm going to extend this arc here. So this is how we can have our points properly. All right, so here I'm just gonna extend. So it can happen even if you are under exam that sometimes you mark the first point, then it's not direct. Do not panic. You do not panic. Just rejoin. Okay, this I just joined, not exactly at the point. It's supposed to be a little bit. Let's just hope I'm gonna win here. All right, just a little bit like this. Okay, so that is what we're supposed to have in this case. So if you are to check, this is from point A so to point D, which is 8,9 centimeters. Okay, because it's along the 60 degrees that you're given here. Okay, the same thing if we do this at B, we are now at B. So at point B, what do we have? At point B, there's an angle of 135 degrees. 135, remember, it's taken from 45 degrees. This angle is 45. So 45 minus 180. 180 minus 45, we get this 135. So meaning to say, to have 135, we can construct 45. But remember, how do you construct 45? 45 is constructed from 90 degrees. And I said 90 degrees, you mark two arcs from the center point from the B, you mark two arcs, one on the right side and another arc on the left side like this. All right. With these arcs that you have, you go back to those two arcs that you marked, this arc at this point here and this arc here. You go back to those arcs and open a certain distance from those arcs, which is more than half of the points. As you can see, it must be greater than from this to B. So with this distance, you mark an arc on top and another one below. But since we already have this arc that is, I mean, the point B, there's no need for us to mark an arc down again. We just use this one that is at what? At B. Or what I'm saying is that you can mark another arc down this side here, just below the points, all right? You do the same at this other arc here, at this arc, you do the same. You mark your arc on top and also below. But below, there's no need for us to do this because already we've got a reference point at B. All right, so this is how you can construct your 90-degree angle. Why constructing 90? So that if we bisect this 90, it is going to give us 45 degrees. And by having 45 degrees, it means we have constructed an angle of 135. So this 90 degrees, it is going to be broken. We do not need this, so it must be broken. All right. So how am I going to construct now the 45 degrees? And also to take note, 135 is inside the 135 is inside the shape here. And the 35 is the one that is, the 45 is the one that is outside here. So you are going to bisect on the right side, this other side here. So remember, to bisect an angle, we mark an arc on the line that we want to bisect. In this case, we want to bisect this angle. So you mark an arc on this side. All right. So here, let me just use another marker here. All right. So you mark an arc on the on our line from this side, and also on the other side, the one that we want to bisect, we mark an arc on the other side like this. All right. So with these two arcs, we are going back to those two arcs without changing this distance of arcs that you had. Without changing that distance, you mark an arc inside, in between like this. You mark an arc. All right. You do the same from this other arc. You mark an arc inside like this. All right. So this is how we can construct our angle of 45 degrees in this case. All right, so with this angle, you can, with your ruler, so you can join. All right, so now by joining this, we are constructing 135 degrees, but as we were focusing on constructing 45 degrees, why? Because we know that if this angle is 45, by default, the remaining angle inside of our diagram here is going to be 135 degrees. All right, so that is how you can construct an angle of 135. And also to note that from point B to point C, we have the distance 6,6. So if we measure 6,6 on our ruler, so here in mine, it can give me direct. Here I can just, let me just show you. Let me say, let's just say this is our 6,6. So at this point B, on this line, you mark the 6,6 centimeters like this. Okay, so by marking the 6,6 centimeters, that means this is our point C, which is 6,6 centimeters from B. So meaning to say, all we need is to just join the remaining points to form a quadrilateral now, which is B to C. I mean, from D to C, you just need to join the remaining points properly. That is how we're supposed to have our diagram, guys, just like that. Okay, so this is construction. All these arcs that you see here on my diagram, they must be there. That is why our question is, we must show these construction arcs. So all these arcs that we're having, everything must be there. If you want to erase something, you can just erase, but don't erase up to the point C. This must be shown. This is construction, not a drawing. All right, so that is how our diagram was going to be like if we constructed this properly, guys. We're supposed to have our diagram in this manner. All right, so let's check the other part of the question that we were given. Now we are given construct item 2. So on the item 2, we are now asked here to construct the locus of points, take note, equidistant from AB and BC. So AB is a line, BC is a line. So that's an angle bisector at B. So here we are going to bisect the angle that is repeating the angle B. AB, BC. If you take note, A to B, B to C, that's a line. So that's a locus. So here you bisect the angle at B. Remember, to bisect the angle at B, we're going to be at the center of B. We just mark an arc along the line that is from B, and the other side here, we mark our arc here. From these two arcs, without changing that distance, we mark an arc inside the shape where we expect our bisector to be somewhere at. All right, so we do the same from this point here. We mark our arc back here. So these arcs, they must meet at a certain point, these arcs that we have. So if you are to take note properly here, these arcs, they met at this point here. These two arcs, they met at this point here. So where these two arcs met, we are going to join. So you join to the center at B. So B acts now as our center. So back to B, to the point like that. All right, so this is how we are going to have our locus as. So this is the locus that they are talking about, this one, the locus of points equidistant from AB to BC. It's an angle bisector. Talked about this from our locus. You can watch the videos on locus so that we can understand this typical concept. All right, so that is how we were supposed to have our question in this case. All right, so let's check the other part, what we are given. All right, so let's see here. Now we are given item 3. It was the locus of points. Take note that are 3 centimeters. Take note about our condition here. This is 3 centimeters from AB, but on the same side of AB as DC. So meaning to say we need 3 centimeters from AB. This is our AB here. But on the same side of AB as DC, which means on this side, on the top part. Remember, if it is just 3 centimeters from AC, we're supposed to have a pair of parallel lines from our AB. 3 centimeters on top, 3 centimeters down. But they say it on the same side of AB as DC, which means we are going to have only 3 centimeters on top, not a pair of parallel lines in this case. So what do you do? From your ruler, you're going to measure 3 centimeters. Like for me here, this is my 3 centimeters. So you measure 3 centimeters like this, 3 centimeters on your ruler. Then you mark at A an arc, which is an arc from A here. We are going to mark an arc like a semicircle, just an arc on top like this from A. You do the same at B. These two, they are enough. At B, we mark an arc at B here, 3 centimeters on the top part like this, 3 centimeters. All right. So what you're going to do from these arcs, you join these arcs on top from the arcs that we have here. We are going to join them on the top part here, so you can extend, join the top part of your arcs like this. So this is going to be 3 centimeters. This line that we are drawing here, it is going to be 3 centimeters from AB. As we can see, it is parallel to AB, but not having a pair of parallel lines, is just on top, on the same side of AB as DC, that's on top. So this, if you measure from this point to this point, is 3 centimeters. From any point to this line, as long you're coming from AB, it will be 3 centimeters. That's how we construct the locus of points equidistant from a fixed point. I mean from a line, not a fixed point. A fixed point, that's a circle. All right, sorry for that. The D part, we were given to mark and label P that is equidistant from AB and BC, and 3 centimeters from AB. If you take note, the point P is it's a combination of these two loci, the loci item 2, the locus item 2, and the locus item 3, equidistant from AB and BC. This is what we have here. 3 centimeters from AB, which is the one that we got. So meaning to say, what we are going to have is where do these two meet, the two loci that we talked about. Remember the first part, the one that was equidistant from AB and BC, it gave us this line. All right. The one that is equidistant from 3 centimeters from AB, it gave us this line. So where do these two lines meet? They meet at this point. That is going to be our point P. It's where the two loci meet, the combination of the two. That is how we're supposed to have this point. All right. I think this one was also direct. These questions, we talked about them in our revisions. That is the advantage part. All right. Then the other part that we're given, it was item C, measure and write down the length of PC. All right. So we now have the point P here. And what you're going to do is to simply place your ruler from P to C. Here, from P to C, place your ruler. You can measure that length. So if you measure properly, your PC, according to it, was giving me something like 6,1 centimeters. Okay, so what I want you to do is to measure. Maybe you're going to obtain 6. You're going to obtain 6,1. I don't know what you're going to obtain exactly, but your answer is supposed to be within this range that you're having here. All right, so this was our question, guys, on construction and locus. Simple diagram, just a simple diagram. As you can see, it was a fair question, fair, very, very fair. Okay, let's just hope November it is going to be more fair than this. Okay, they're going to give us something more fair. Okay, anyways, let's see the question number 5. Question number 5, we were given to simplify 25,2 25,8. Where, what is actually happening? Okay. All right, let's see. We are now having item 1. So let me just put it this way. Simplify. So what you're going to do, just like if you check, this is the first question that we had. Question number 1, it was like this. So board mass again. So according to that board mass, we are going to have brackets of division, board mass. All right. So we are going to have brackets of division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So let us add first. That is this part added to this part is going to be 25,8 plus 15,25. Then we subtract 13. So it's going to be minus 13. All right. So you can combine the first two, then subtract the other one. So this was going to give us 41.05 minus 13. So if we subtract, this is going to be 28.05. This is paper 2. Use your calculator direct. All right. So that was our question 5A item 1. Item 2, again, to simplify, but if you check here, we are given the number of days, hours, and minutes. So you can just add and see 40 plus 40, that is 80. 15 plus 8, which is going to give us 23. 3 plus 2, which is going to give us 5. But remember that we are dealing with the time here, minutes, where we know that in an hour, we have got 60 minutes. So if an hour, we've got 60 minutes, that means here in 80 minutes, we have got an hour there. So we are going to subtract 80 minus 60. We remain with the 20 minutes. So we are going to remove 1 hour from the 80 minutes that we have. We remove 60 minutes, which is equivalent to 1 hour. So that means we are going to remain with 20 minutes. So what is going to happen with the 60 minutes that we removed? We are going to add it to the next term. We are going to add this one here as an hour, which is because these are hours. So you add it as an hour. It's 60 minutes, yes, but adding here, it is supposed to be an hour. So 23 plus 1, that is 24 hours. And we know that a day is equivalent to 24 hours. So the 24 hours that we get, it's equivalent to a day. So there is nothing that we are going to get in terms of hours here because it's equivalent to a day. So we're going to give this to the next term. The 24 hours that we have, we give it to this next term, which is going to give us 1 day. So it's 5 plus 1, which is going to be 6. So meaning to say our answer was going to be 6 days. We are going to have 6 days, 0 hours, 20 minutes. All right, so that is how we're supposed to have this question. Then the B part, this is just like a question, those questions that you send on WhatsApp, like direct question, okay, like a quiz, because here we are given that Tafadzwa borrows $600 from his brother Tendai at the beginning of the year. He invests the money and agrees that at the end of the year, he will repay Tendai and give him 2/5 of any profit you make. So now we are given, if the $600 increases to $1,250, calculate how much you should give Tendai at the end of. So this is a direct, like you are given that for any profit that is going to, for any profit, this guy is going to give 2/5 of any profit. So meaning to say, the first thing that is going to give back is this amount of money, the 600. So let's see, what was his profit from the 1,250? What was his profit? So the profit first. So our profit is going to be 1,250. That is 1,250 minus the amount that he borrowed of 600, meaning to say this is going to give us 650. All right, 650. All right, $650. All right, so this is the profit that this guy made, but he is supposed to return the money, the 600 as it is. Before talking about his profit, this guy is supposed to return back the $600. This is what he is supposed to return back. But in returning back the 600, he promised that I'm going to give you 2/5 of any profit that I make. So meaning to say this profit, from this profit of $650, he is going to give him 2/5 of that profit, which is 2/5 of $650, which is going to give us $260. So meaning to say, when he is returning the money, he is returning 600. In addition, he gives also $260 as the 2/5 of any profit made. So that is the amount that he was going to return, which was going to give us $860. So at the end, he was going to pay back $860 at the end of the year. All right, so that was our question. So as you can see, this question, guys, it was just another type of a direct question that we were given. On number C, item 1, we are now asked to express 676 as a product of its prime factors. All right, so these are prime factors, but not just prime factors in index notation. How is this possible? All right, so remember that as a product of its prime factors, what I'm going to do is to divide by the smallest number that you have, which is 2. That is we have here. So 2, this is paper 2, guys. 676 divide by 2, you get your answer direct on your calculator, which is going to give you 338. Again, you try by 2. 338 divide by 2 from your calculator, that will be 169. As you can see, 2 is limited, 3 is limited, 5 is even limited. Which number now are you going to use? That will be a 13. 169 divided by 13 gives us 13. 13 divided by 13, which is a 1. So this is 676 as a product of its prime factors. It means that 676 is going to be equal to 2 times 2 times 2 times 13 here. So here it's a 13. So you've got times 13 times 13, which is 2 times 2 simply means 2 squared. That's index notation now. 13 times 13, that's 13 squared. So this was supposed to be your answer in index notation. So it was going to be 2 squared times 13 squared. Then the question further goes on to say, hence or otherwise, find the square root of 676. So the square root of 676 can be determined since we are having 676 as a product of its prime factors as 2 squared times 13 squared. Remember what we always say, that the square root and a square neutralizes each other. So it simply means we have got the square root, which neutralizes with this, or we can write this as the square root of 2 squared times the square root of 13 squared. So this simply means square root and 2 cancels, we remain with the 2. So this is going to be 2 times, also here, the square root and 2 cancels, meaning to say we are going to remain with 13. So 2 times 13, that will be 26. So it means the square root of 676 is equal to 26. So if you use your calculator, you can prove that, to say the square root of 2 of 676 is 26. So that is how we were supposed to answer this question. So be careful, guys, how you answer your questions. Like I said, easy question papers are bound to major mistakes. I just hope we never had such. Okay, on the D part, we are given f of x. Just like paper 1, there was a functional notation again. Also here, paper 2, they are giving us a function. So they are saying find f of 3 on the first part. So our f of x, if it is given as 3x plus 5, what is going to be f of 3? F of 3 simply means substitute in place of x 3, which is in place of x, you put 3. So that is going to be 3 plus 5. So 3 times 3, which is 9, plus 5, which is a 14. So here our answer was going to be a 14. Then they are further on saying that find the value of x for which this same f of x is now equal to 83. Remember our f of x before it was equal to 3x plus 5. Now they are saying it is equal to 83. So we are simply saying 3x plus 5, our f of x, it is equal to 83. So you have formulated an equation that you're supposed to solve for x. How can we solve for x? All right, so 3x is going to be equal to, we can transpose to the other side of the equation, that is going to be a negative. So it's 83 minus 5, which is going to be 78. All right, so divide by 3, so you can have the value of x, which is going to be 26 in this case. All right, so that is how we were supposed to have or to attempt this typical question on D item 2. All right, let's check the other part of the question and see what we're given. All right, that is our section B in this case. So that was our section B. Answer any 4 questions from this section. Each question carries 12 marks. Take note, each and every question that you have here carries 12 marks. So it's your option, guys. Section B, just imagine, guys, 12 times 4, that's a lot of marks. So meaning to say, you are supposed to attempt to choose the questions according to your understanding. What is the best topic that you, or topics that you understand? Work on those ones. And sometimes having more questions on section B helps a lot because you have a variety of topics to choose. Okay, anyways, we are going to rush through our section B and see what we are given in this case. All right, number 6, we are given here. All right, so question number 6, variation. That was in this case a partial variation, a combination of 2 constants. We're going to connect with the 2 constants. So we're given that the cost is C, which is, we are given the cost as C. So you use these letters as they are. Of printing a newspaper is partly constant. That is the first condition, and partly varies as n, the number of printed newspapers, which means n represents the number of the printed newspapers. Item 1, we asked you to express C in terms of n and constants h and K and H. All right, so this is a direct approach that you're just going to combine these 2 constants. So take note, we are given that the cost C is partly constant, that is just a constant H, and partly as, so it's partly varies as, meaning to say there is another constant and that letter that you're given, which is N. So that is 1 mark for that. Then the other part, now they are saying from this information, if the cost of 500 newspapers is $320, the cost of 1,000 newspapers is 540. Find the cost of printing 750 newspapers. So what you're going to do is to find H and K from the first information that you are given. Then you can determine the cost for these 750 newspapers later on. So let us start with the information that we are given first, that 500 newspapers, they need $320. So we have got the cost, $320. So this is our C, the cost of $320. All right, so let me just try to write it this side. All right, so let us put it here. So that is our cost first. So we start with the cost. So the cost, we are given it as 320 for 500 newspapers, which is N. N is the number of newspapers. All right, so 320 here, which is our cost. So that is $320 is equal to H plus the constant times the number of newspapers, which is 500 newspapers. So it is going to give us 500K. The second part, it's for the cost of 1,000. We have got 540. So 540 is our cost here. 540 being the cost is equal to H plus the number of newspapers. At that point, it was 1,000 times the constant. So from this information, we can find H and K. So we are going to find H and K, the constants. That is our constants in this case. So what can we do? These are two equations that we have. So we can simply subtract equation 2 from equation 1. So this is our equation 2, so we can subtract so that we can eliminate h. So if we subtract 320 minus 540, this is going to be negative 220 is equal to h minus h, that's a 0. 500 minus 1000, that will be negative 500k. So to find k, we can divide by negative 500 both sides, by negative 500 both sides. So this cancels. Our k is going to be negative 220 over 500 over negative 500, which is going to give us positive 11 over 25. So that will be 1125, or as a decimal 0.44. You can write it as a decimal 0.44. So to find the value of k, you can substitute the value of h. You can substitute this k that we got into any one of these equations. So you can substitute into the first equation. We are given that 320 is equal to h plus 500 times k. So it is going to be 500 times the value of k that we got, which is 11 over 25, or 0.44. So this will be 320 is equal to h plus 500 times this 11 over 25. We are going to obtain 220. So we can transpose to the other side of the equation so that it can be a negative, and thus we obtain the value of h. 320 minus 220 gives us 100. So having the value of h and the value of k, we can now connect our equation now in terms of the constant, in terms of the cost and the number of newspapers, because we are given that the cost is equal to h, which is a constant, our h, which is 100, plus kn, our k, which is 0.44, or it can be 11 over 25. I don't know which one are you going to use. So it's 11 over 25 times n. So this is the one, or the equation that we are going to use, or the relationship that now we are going to use to calculate for a given condition that we have here, where we are given that we are supposed to calculate or to find the cost of printing 750 newspapers, which means we have got n. Our n is 750. So if our n is 750 from this relationship, what is going to be our cost? So our cost is going to be equal to, that's 100 plus 11 over 25 times the number of newspapers that we are given. We are given 750 newspapers. All right, so that is going to be C. So C is going to be 100 plus 330 if we simplify properly, which is going to give us a cost of $430. So it will take $430 to print 750 newspapers. That is the idea of partial variation. All right, the B part, we were given a trapezium. So from this trapezium, we are given dimensions n to m, x plus 3, k to l, 3x minus 1, and this is x minus 3, m to l. So take note, this is at 90 degrees, KLM, from KLM 90. So this is 90, meaning to say we have got our perpendicular height, which is the same as from n to this point is just one and the same thing as x minus 3, which is our perpendicular height. So the question was from the first part, to express or to find in terms of x an expression of the area of a trapezium. All right, so area of a trapezium, this in this case, we are given the perpendicular height, the sides which are parallel, and so forth. So remember that area is of a parallelogram, okay, of a trapezium, not a parallelogram. Okay, so let me just have, this is B item 1, and that's B item 1. So remember that our area is equivalent to half sum of the parallel sides times the perpendicular height. So this is a sum of the sides which are parallel. This is our A, our B. So our area is going to be half the sum. We add x plus 3. So we've got x plus 3 plus the other part here, we have got b, our b, which is 3x minus 1. So we add 3x minus 1 together times the perpendicular height. This is the height, ml, which is going to be x minus 3. All right, so this is the expression for our area, which we can just simplify. That is going to be half of. We can just collect like terms here. That is going to give us 1 plus 3, which is x here. We've got like terms x and x. So 1 plus 3, that is going to be 4x. 3 minus 1, which is going to be 2. So that's plus 2 into x minus 3. So the half can even expand the first bracket. As you can see, half here is common. I mean, half can multiply here because these are like terms. I mean, these are factors of half. So you can multiply half times 4, half times 2. So if you multiply half of 4, that is going to be 2x. Half of 2, this is going to be plus 1. So that will be 2x plus 1 into x minus 3 like this. So this is the expression for area in square centimeters. Yes, you can even expand if you want, but you can just leave it like that. Or you can even leave it at this stage. Still, it's fine. It's 1 mark for that, guys. Okay, just take note. It's 1 mark. So that was the expression for area. Now they are saying this area that we just determined, its expression, it is equal to 15 square centimeters. Form an equation in X and show that it is going to reduce to this equation. 2 marks for that. So take note, already we have got our expression for area that we got in this case here. So this is just going to be a continuation from the area formula that we have. We are given that this area now is 15. Our area is 15 square centimeters. So we are just going to substitute in place of the area A. So meaning to say 2x plus 1 into x minus 3. The one that is representing our area is equal to 15 because A is 15. So expand brackets, simplify further. That will be 2x versus x, which is 2x squared. 2x versus minus 3. That's minus 6x. Then we are done with the 2x. We move on to positive 1. So this will be positive 1 here times x, which is going to be plus 1x. Then plus 1 times 3, which is going to be minus 3. That's a negative here. Then you can even transpose this 15 to the other side of the equation so that it can be a negative 15, and this whole part is equal to 0. Collect your like terms, 2x squared minus 6 plus 1x. This is plus 1. So minus 6 plus 1 from your calculator, that's minus 5, which will be minus 5x. Minus 3 minus 15, this will be minus 18. So that's minus 18 is equal to 0. So as you can see, this is the equation that you're being asked here to show. All right, so that is how we can have this. Then from this other part, now we are given to solve the equation 2x squared minus 5x minus 18 is equal to 0. That is 2 marks for that. So you can actually solve this by factorization using your factorization concept. We've got a 2x squared minus 5x minus 18 is equal to 0. So multiply the first term to the last term, or you can just use quadratic formula, even quadratic formula. All right, so I prefer that one because here we're going to take much time to find these factors, but for factorization, it's going to work. All right, so applying the quadratic formula, x is equal to minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared. So that is going to be square root of a b squared minus 4ac everything over 2a. All right, so from our equation here, a is going to be 2, b is going to be negative 5, c is going to be negative 18. So x is going to be minus b, which is minus 5, plus or minus the square root of b squared. That is going to be minus 5 squared minus 4 times a. Our a here is 2 times the constant c, which is negative 18. And everything here is over 2a. Everything over 2 times a. Our a, which is 2. All right, so from this simplification, we can obtain the values of x. That will be minus, and the minus gives us a plus, plus or minus. So what you're going to do is to simplify this whole part here under under the square root. So that will be plus or minus the square root of 169. So that's 169, everything over 2 times 2, which is 4. So this we can separate. We know that square root of 169 is 13. So we are going to have 5 plus 13 over 4. Or the other part is going to be x is equal to 5 minus 13 over 4 from the square root of 69 plus or minus. So this part, guys, is your calculator. Use your calculator at once. It can simplify everything. So x here will be 4,5 or 4.5 or 4,5, or our x is going to be -2. All right. So here we are answering this question, which is saying we are supposed to solve this equation. We are just answering the question of solving the equation, but actually working on our diagram, we know that x cannot be a negative here, because if we substitute an x here, which is a negative, this will be like -2 minus 3, which is minus. We can't have a side which is a negative, but we are solving for the equation. That's why we leave our answers like this, because this is just a question which is solve the equation. All right, so that is how we're supposed to have this. Or like I said, you can use factorization, which was going to be one and the same thing. All right, then the other part now, item 4 was to calculate the length of LM, 1 mark. So remember, from the values of x that we have, we said our x cannot be a negative. When we are to replace on our diagram, we can't have a negative side. So meaning to say we are going to relate with our x being 4,5, then we can calculate the length of LM. All right, so our LM in this case from our diagram, this is where we have our LM. This is our LM from our diagram here. So we are going to have, that was item 4. Item 4. So our LM is given as x minus 3. So that's x minus 3. And our x being 4,5. So that means this is going to be 4,5 minus 3. That's 1,5 centimeters. All right. So that was going to be the length of LM in this case. All right. So an easy question here, quite an not an easy question. It's an interesting question, actually. This was an interesting question. Variation, you can get something here. Then also, if you if you understand your algebra, then this part was going to be much easier for you to work out, because it was a direct question on the algebra part. All right, then we move on to the other part of the question. This was question 7, and question 7, it's not that clear, but let's just see what we got here. We were given that the following is an extract of an incomplete water bill for a family. The family is allowed to use 11 kiloliters of water per month at a certain rate. So you're given at a certain rate, the amount of water needed there was 11 kiloliters. But if it is to use more than 11 kiloliters, if the family is to use more than 11 kiloliters, now they are supposed to pay $2.50 per kiloliter. That is the condition when they use more than 11K. So when it is more than 11 kiloliter, they are going to pay $2.50 per kiloliter. That was the idea of the question here. So now we are given this table, the description, and so forth. All right, so let's see how we are supposed to answer these questions. Calculate item 1, C, the consumption for the month. Okay, so let's see, represents the consumption, which is here. So if you have to check here, this is our C. We've got the present reading and the previous reading. So our C is simply going to be the difference. All right, so that was going to be the item 1. All right, so C is just going to be present reading minus previous reading. So that's 776 minus 762. All right, so our C was going to give us 14. So that's 14 kiloliter in this case. So here it's 14. All right, take note, the permitted consumption is 11, but they used the 14, so it's an excess, that one. That's why we have got excess here. All right, anyways, the other part of the question is item 2, are the rate of permitted consumption. When they use 11 kiloliter, what is the rate? So the rate here, if you are to check, we are given that 11 kiloliter is corresponding to the amount of $17.50. What about the rate, which is the dollar per kilo? The rate, it's dollar per kiloliter. So our R is going to be the number or the amount divided, which is the amount of 11, that's 17.05 divided by the number of kiloliters which is used, which is 11 in this case. So that's our rate. So our rate is going to be, if we divide properly, that was going to be 1.55. So it's $1.55 per kiloliter. That is what they say here, dollars per kiloliter. All right. Then let's check the other part. Item 3, the excess amount of water. Okay, like I said here, they used 14 kiloliters for this month, but they are permitted to use 11 kiloliters. So the difference between is going to be the excess. All right, so our S here being the excess is going to be 14 minus 11. So they used 14 instead of 11. So meaning to say they have excess of 3 kiloliter. So they exceeded or they used 3 kiloliters more, all right, than the one that we have actually supposed to use. Then T, the amount paid for excess. If they used 3 kiloliters as excess, then what is the amount? If you check here, we are given we said our excess here is 3, and we are given that the rate states that it's $2.50 per kiloliter, and we used 3 kiloliters. So what is going to be T if it is $2.50 per liter? So simply means our T in this case is going to be $2.50 per kiloliter times the number of kiloliters, the excess one, which is 3. So we multiply by 3. So T was going to be $2.50 times 3, which is $7.50 in this case. All right. So that is how we're supposed to have this question. And if you are to check here, V, part W, the total amount due that month, the total amount. So what is going to be the total? Let us check what is happening here. If you are to check properly, guys, the total is going to be a combination of these. Let us have it, our diagram. Okay, maybe we can see it properly here. So our total, in this case, this is our total W, okay? So it is going to combine, first thing, the permitted consumption. When they use the normal 11 kiloliters, it's $17.05. So meaning to say, we are going to have $70.05. But there is a fixed charge, whether they are using the water or they are not, there is a fixed charge, $7.30. So you're going to add $7.30. Then out of the 11 kiloliters they were supposed, they used these ones, they exceeded with the 3 kiloliters, which gave us the amount here T, which was $7.50. So we're going to add the $7.50, the excess amount which was there of $7.50. So this is going to give us the value of W, which is 31. So we are going to obtain $31.85. All right. So that is how we're supposed to have the amount W, which is the total amount for that month, which was due. All right. Then B part, it was a variation. All right. So they wanted variation on this question paper, as you can see. The B part, it was a variation, but this time an inverse variation. We are given that N varies inversely as the square root of M inversely. That means here we are saying N that is going to be written this way. All right, so let's just have a space for this one. So this was the B part. They were told that N varies inversely, that is 1 over the square root of M. So that is the square root of M. Varies inversely, 1 over, then we are told the square root of M. So what are we given on the first part of our question? We are given to find a formula on item 1 connecting N, M, and a constant K. So here we are simply introducing a constant. So remember, to introduce a constant, we must have an equal sign. So meaning to say our N is going to be equal to K over the square root of M. So we just introduce here the constant and the square root, I mean the equal sign at the same time. So that was our item 1. All right, so let's check the item 2. So item 2, now we are given that n is equal to 17 at a condition where m is 20,25. Take note, this is another statement on its own. Find m. So from the first information that you are given, you must calculate the value of k. If n is 17 and m is 22,5, we must find k first. All right, so the item 2, we are supposed to find k first. So find k, the constant, first. So we are given n at that moment is 17 at a condition where m was 20,25. So this will be 20,25. So we can determine the square root of 20,25, or we can simply cross multiply in this case. So this will be 1 times k, which is k is equal to 17 times. So it is going to be 17 times the square root of 20,25, which you can obtain direct on your calculator. So the value of k is going to give us 76,5, meaning to say this relationship that we had before, or of n, can be written as n is equal to, we have the value of k, which is 76,5, everything over the square root of m. So this is the relationship between n and m. From this relationship, that is where you can calculate whether m or n. So here we are asked to calculate or to find the value of m on a condition that n is equal to 34. So if n is equal to 34, we are simply going to substitute in place of n. So this is our equation, or our relationship here. Our n is equal to 34. So meaning to say 34 is equal to 76,5 over the square root of m. So we can find m now. So from this part, this is same as over 1. So we can easily cross multiply. So that is 34 times the square root of m, which is 34. Square root of m is equal to 1 times 76,5. That's 76,5. So we can divide, since we are multiplying to square root of 34, to square root of m by 34, we can divide by 34 both sides, meaning to say the square root of m is going to give us 76 over 34, which you can simplify, or you can leave it like that. But if you simplify, this will be 2,25. So remember, we are supposed to calculate m, not the square root of m. So if this is the square root of m, what about m? We simply have to square both sides to remove the square root. So that means m is equal to, if we square both sides here, this will be 2,25 squared, which is going to give us something like 5,0625, or as a fraction, that's 5 and 1 over 16. Yeah, 5 and 1 over 16. All right, so that was the value of m that you're going to obtain from this simplification. So it was an inverse variation that you're supposed to connect with in order to simplify properly. All right, so that was our question number 7. Question number 8 was on transformation. So unfortunately for this platform, we are not going to focus on this question. We are going to focus with it on a separate class, on a separate video. That is for transformation for all the graphs. So very, very sorry for that, guys. We are just going to work on it on a separate part. It was a nice question, as you can see. You see it maybe in our next class, then we will work it out. That will be the best. All right. Then question number 9, we were given, in this case, that's a solid, that we have a solid triangular prism. So this is a triangular prism that we have. And we have got the dimensions PU. So P to U 24, Q to U, this one, Q to U, and the Q to P, they are the same. And TU and TU. Okay, the length of the prism is L from T to U. That's our length of the prism. So take note, this is this shape that we see here. this shape that we see here, this triangle that we see, it's our base triangle, is the same as this triangle that we have here. So that is what we are actually having in this case. All right. So what was the question in this case? Let's check what we are given. Let us check what we are given in this case. The first part of our question was to calculate Q to U. All right. The length of Q to U. How can we obtain this length Q to U? If you are to check here from our diagram, this was giving us a right angle triangle at the end. Since this is an isosceles triangle, Q to P to U, we're given these two sides, they are equal. So this is a line of symmetry, which is at a 90 degrees, this line. So what it does is that it bisects our line actually into two. So if it is 24, that means if we divide by 2, this is going to be 12. We divide by 2, this is going to be 12. So that is what we have in this case. So taking this triangle Q to this point, to point U back to Q like this, we are having a right angle triangle, which we can use Pythagoras theorem to calculate the point or the side QU in this case. So this is our A item 1. Remember that h squared is equal to a squared plus b squared, hypotenuse squared, where the hypotenuse is the QU. So QU squared is equal to 5 squared plus 12 squared. So this will be 5 squared plus 12 squared. QU squared is equal to 5 squared, which is 25, plus 12 squared, 144. So that's QU squared is equal to 169. So to remove the square, simply introduce the square root. So that's QU is going to give us 13 centimeters. All right, so that is what we had in this case. This was going to be 13 centimeters, meaning also here we've got 13 centimeters. All right, then item 2, we are given the area of triangle PQU. All right, the area of the triangle PQU in this case. All right, so this is PQ to U, this triangle, which is a right angle triangle if we take it this way. So remember that the area of a right angle triangle is half of the base times the perpendicular height in this case. So this is the perpendicular height. So meaning to say our area is going to be half times the base from P to Q. This is the whole base, which is 24. So PQ, remember, is 24. So that's half of 24 times the height. The height is the perpendicular height of 5 centimeters. So that means we can have our area in this case half of 24. That is going to be 12 times 5, which is 60. You can just use your calculator direct. So your area is going to be 60 square centimeters. It was going to be 60 square centimeters in this case. All right. Then we are now given B to find the volume. Okay, so the volume of the prism is 1,728 cubic centimeters. Find the length of the prism. Remember, if you are given to find the volume, what we are supposed to do is that we were supposed to find the volume using this condition. All right, so this is B. Remember that volume is equal to the base area times the length to the other side, or the height to the other side, which is the length. From the cross section, we are saying this is our base area, this one, this triangle, which is the same as this triangle. So volume is this area of this whole triangle times the length to the other point. So now we are given the volume here, that our volume is 1,728. So we can substitute in place of this formula here so that we can calculate our length, because we have the volume 1,728, which is equal to the base area, which is the area of the triangle that we calculated before, which is 60. So we are going to obtain 60 times the length. So if we divide here by 60, since we are multiplying, we are going to obtain the length of the triangular prism. So that's 1,728 divided by 60, which was going to give us 28,8 centimeters. So that was going to be the length. So from this point, U to T, that's 28,8 centimeters. All right, so that is how we're supposed to have our question. All right, so let's check the other part of our question here. All right. Let's check what we're given. We're given C, that is the mass, the material used to make the prism. All right, the material used to make the prism has a density of 4 grams per cubic centimeter and costs $1.93 per kg. So the question was, item 1, calculate the mass of the prism in kilograms. Calculate the mass of the prism in kilograms. Take note, before we were given the volume on item B, they gave us the volume of this prism. We are given that the volume is equal to 1,728 cubic centimeters. We're given this volume before. Now we are given the density, and they want us to calculate the mass of this same prism. So remember, from our MDC or our MDV, this concept here, the MDC concept or the MDV concept. All right, that's mass density capacity, MDC, like mass density capacity, or volume, MDV, volume. So if we want mass here, this is our mass. So we want mass, so it's density times capacity. Capacity, that's volume. Density times volume. So meaning to say, we are going to obtain our mass here by multiplying density to volume. So mass is equal to the density. We have the density, which is 4 grams per cubic meter times the volume of 1728 cubic meters. So here, the cubic meter and the cubic meter will cancel. This is per, and this is cubic centimeters. I mean, cubic centimeter and cubic centimeter will cancel. So you are going to obtain the mass not in kgs, but in grams. So 4 times 1,728 is going to give us 6,912 grams. But we are asked that this must be in kilograms. So we are going to divide by 1,000, since a kg has got 1,000 grams. So divide this by 1,000 gives us the mass in kgs. So our mass is going to be 6,912 kilograms. All right, so that is how we can use the density to calculate the mass. So now, from the mass that we are given, they are now asking us to calculate the cost of the material used to make the prism, the cost. All right, so what can we do in this case to find the cost? We are given that it costs $1.93 per kg, and we have the mass here in kg. So if it is costing $1 per kg, what about for 6,912 kgs? We simply have to multiply. So our cost here, simply multiply the cost per kg, that's $0.93 per kg. That means for 1 kg. What about for 6,912? We simply multiply the cost. So if we multiply, that was going to give us $13.34. All right, so this is the cost that we are going to have in this case. All right, then the D part, we are given find the length of a similar triangular solid prism of volume 512 cubic centimeters. All right, so this is a similarity type of, this is a similarity question. It's a, we are under solids, but they are asking us under similar figures. So take note here, before we were given this solid, I'm going to answer it here. Before we were given the original solid that we have with a volume of 1,728 cubic centimeters, and we calculated the length that was corresponding to this volume. We calculated this length, and we got 28,8, if you still remember here. The length, okay, I didn't mention on the diagram, but here 28,8, this was the length. So meaning to say, from this length that we have of 28,8 centimeters, now they are saying there is another similar solid, similar to this one, but its volume now is given as 512 cubic centimeters. What is going to be the corresponding length of this solid? So from this information that we are given of the volumes, we are given the volume factor, which is the ratio of the volumes, the bigger one meaning to say the one that has got the bigger value is our bigger solid. So this is giving us the volume factor, the ratio of volumes. If we were given the ratio of sides, that is the scale factor. If we were given the ratio of areas, that is our area factor. So in this case, we have got the volumes. So we are going to use it as the volume factor to say V1 S2 V2. That is the first volume, 1728 S2 512, like this. So how can we calculate the length? The length does not operate under volume factor. It operates under the scale factor, which I told you guys, in order for you to obtain the scale factor is the cube root of these volume factors. But what you can do is to divide on your calculator. You can reduce this on your calculator. 1728 over 512, you're going to obtain 27 over 8 from your calculator. So meaning to say this is corresponding to 27. This corresponds to 8. We are just reducing we are still under volume factor, but just reducing our numbers. At this stage, we can determine the scale factor. How do you determine the scale factor from the volumes? You find the cube root of these numbers, the cube root of 27, the cube root of 8. So the cube root of 27, that is 3, as to the cube root of 8, which is 2. So this is your scale factor. You don't use volume factor to calculate sides. You use scale factor. So scale factor is for sides. So from our scale factor, which is 3 as to 2, it states that 3 is for the bigger solid, which corresponds to this length of 28,8 centimeters. What about this one, the ratio of 2? What is going to be the corresponding length, which is our length 2? So this is how we're supposed to answer this question. All right. So according to our simple proportion, that's 2 over 3. 2 over 3 times 28,8 centimeters. So this is going to give us 19,2 centimeters. So that was going to be the length of the similar solid. Take note of your information. Do not rush when you're answering these typical questions, especially on similarity. That part you are supposed to be very, very careful. All right. Anyways, that was our question 9. Then question number 10, we have a class of 16 boys and 10 girls. Okay, so that was a class. So 2 learners are chosen at random, one after the other, to represent the school in a competition. Calculate the probability that the learners chosen at random are both of the same sex. All right, so we want a condition that these 2 learners are of the same sex. All right, how is this possible? All right, so let me put the 2 pen. All right, so here we are. We need this condition, meaning to say we need a condition of having a boy and a boy, or a girl and a girl. So you can use the probability tree diagram to answer this question, or you can simply use the knowledge to say, out of these 2, okay, let me have it aside so that we can understand here. So this is our 10A. So like I said, we can use the probability diagram, or you can just answer it straight. We are given that we have got 16 boys and 10 girls in this case. So it simply means the probability of having both sex is going to be the probability of having 2 boys at the same time or 2 girls at the same time. That is what this part means. Probability of 2 boys at the same time, 2 girls at the same time. But what is the total of this? That is 26. So to pick 2 boys, it means the first boy, there are 16 out of 26. To pick the second boy, there were 26 in class and there were 16 boys. We picked 1. So now we want to pick the second one. So they are going to remain as 15 out of 25. Remember, it's a class of 26. So if we remove 1, it affects also the total. The same thing on the girls. The first one, there are 10 girls out of 26 people who are there. The moment we pick the second girl, it affects the total on the girls, which means they are now 9. Also, the total on the number of students which are there, they are now 25. So this is what we are going to have. So you combine the first part, that was going to be 24 out of 65. So 24 out of 65 plus 9 out of 65. So if we add these two, we're going to obtain 33 over 65. So that was our probability in this case. So like I said, the probability of picking both, we could have worked this on a probability tree diagram where we are saying we are given 16 boys and 10 girls in this case. So you can have the two branches here for boy and a girl. Then this is the first pick, but they were picked twice. So meaning to say we are going to have another branch having a boy and a girl, another branch here having a boy and a girl. So that is what you're going to have. And this is without replacement, because if you pick like here, we've got 16 out of 26. If you add here, that would be 26, 10 out of 26. So this is without replacement, because if we pick a boy, this person is not going to come back. It's now going to be another one. So they were 16. Now they are 15 out of 25. The girls, they remain as they are here, which is going to be 10 out of 25. The total is affected. From the branch of girls, if we pick a girl again, it means they are now 9 out of 25. The boys, they remain as they were, 16 out of the total is affected is 25. So here, what we are mainly focusing is the branches of both sex. So both sex is for B and B here. That is a B, B, and G, G. So if you are to take here probability of B, B plus probability of G, G, which is this one, B, B plus G, G, we are going to have 16 over 25, 16 over 26 times 15 over 25, which is this condition. Then we move on to probability of GG. That is 20 over 26 times 9 over 25, which is 20 over 26 times 9 over 25. So as you can see, we're going to have the same answer or the same approach on this one. So that was our question 10A. 10B is a graph again. So like I said, I'm not going to focus on these graphs for now. We are going to work on them separately. But as I'm checking this graph, it was one of the easiest, guys, to draw. Then after drawing, you need to state the minimum value where your graph is turning. Then the gradient, we talked about all these things anyway. So let us just work them. Then we'll see them when we revise them on our next class. I'm just going to focus on them so that we'll see these graphs. I think that one for transformation and this one, yes. Okay, number 11, this one we do not have a graph, so it's an advantage. Here we are given that that's a pie chart. So we are given a pie chart in this case with information that is for accounts, commerce, history shown, and others here. So the pie chart above shows the choices made by 192 learners. Take note the total number of learners on their preferred favorite subject. Find item 1, the number of learners who said they preferred Shona. So take note here, we've got 192 learners. Out of everything is 192. So what it simply means is that 360 degrees is equal to the 192, the total number of students. So if we are to check here, what is going to be the proportion for Shona if they carry 120 degrees from the sector that we have. This sector here, we've got 120. So it means we are going to have 120 degrees over 360, the total times the total number of students. So it's 120, the one that you're calculating, over the total times the total number of students. So this is going to give us the number of students for Shona, which is 64 learners. So here we have 64. Or you can just use proportion. 360 is equal to 192. 120 is equal to what? So 120 over 360 times this, still one and the. All right, on item 2, we are given in this case to find the number of learners who say they preferred accounts in this case. All right, so that is 2 marks. So using the same approach, remember, we calculated the one for Shona here, we got 64. From the same indication that we had to say that 192 learners, they correspond with 360 degrees. So it's the same thing, 360 degrees. If it gives us 192 learners. What about the one for accounts in this case? All right. So the accounts, the angle that is corresponding here is a 90 degree. That's a right angle here. So that's 90. So it is going to be 90 out of the total 360 times the total number of learners 192. So this is going to give us the number of learners who say they want to have accounts, which is going to be 48. All right, so this is going to be 48 learners in this case. All right, so now we are given that on the B part, we are given that 40 learners said they preferred commerce. Find the value of P. All right, so we are given that in commerce here, we are given that 40 learners, they say they want commerce in this case. So here we are given 40 learners. So what is the angle P? So using this concept, we can say from the same idea, all right, so this is going to be B. We say the 360 degrees corresponds to 192. What about 40 for learner, 40 for commerce, these ones? What is going to be the corresponding angle for these 40 learners? All right, so this is going to be less. That's 40 over 192. So that's 40 over 192 times 360 degrees. By finding this angle, we are finding the angle P. So that will be 75 degrees. So P is equal to 75 degrees. So we know this angle here now that it is 75 degrees. All right, so that is how we could have calculated this. Then C, we are now given 32 learners say they preferred history. Find the size of angle that represents other subjects. All right, so if we are given 32, they prefer history. That means here we are going to put 32 in place of history. So we have got 32 here. So what you can do is to calculate the angle for history, then you subtract the remaining angles to find others. Or you can simply find according to from 192, we can subtract these angles so that we know what we have for the others, right? So the sum, from the sum of 192, we subtract all these. The Shona is 64. History, we are given that is 32. Plus commerce, we're told that it's 40. Accounts, we got 48. So if we subtract everything from 192, we are going to obtain 8 in this case. That will be 8 others. That will be 8 learners. So meaning to say here we only have 8 learners, not the angle, but the number of learners. What about the angle? So it is going to be the number of learners out of the total learners of 192 times the angle of what? Of 360 degrees, just like the previous part. So this is going to give us an angle of 15 degrees. So here we are going to obtain 15 degrees. Or you calculate the angle for history, then you subtract all the angles from 360. That is how we can have the angle for others. All right, so that is how we're supposed to have this question. 12 marks for that, guys. Just take note how these questions will like, guys. Okay, anyways, now we are given, okay, they still have the D part. I was surprised. What's happening? Okay, the D part here is a vector. So from this vector, we are given from A to B, which is a vector 6A. Then this one is vector 3B. This is vector 2B, and so forth and so forth, and the point P. So, and also you're given the ratio. Take note, AC and BD intersect at the P such that AP S to PC is 3:1. So we are given A to P. A to P is 3, P to C, that will be 1. That is 3:1. AP, 3 parts, PC, 1 part. AP, that is 3 parts, PC, 1 part. Take note how you going to answer this. Okay, the first part is to find AC. So AC, we simply need a route that we are going to take from point A to point C in this case. All right, to point A to point C. So it's 1 mark. We can even take this from the diagram, guys. A to C is going to be A to D, which is we are opposing the direction. A to D, we are opposing the direction. So that will be minus 3B plus D to C, which is we are in the same direction. So it's going to be a plus 2A. So this will be plus 2A. So that will be our vector AC, or you can write it as 2A minus 3B. Okay, that's 1 mark for this. BC, from B to C. So take note, from B to C, we can use this route here. That will be, okay, let me just write this one so that I do not confuse you. I'm going to take from B to A and A to C. So BC is going to be from B to A and from A to C. Since we calculated AC here, from A to C, the whole of this AC is minus 3B plus 2A, which is same as 2A minus 3B, the whole of AC. So meaning to say we are simply going to add here, BA, we are opposing the arrow, so it's a negative, so it's going to be minus 6A. So that will be minus 6A plus AC. AC is the one that we got here. We got minus 3B plus 2A, which is same as 2A minus 3B. So if you combine minus 6 plus 2, that's minus 4A minus 3B. All right, so it's going to be minus 4A minus 3B in this case, all right? Then we've got DP, D to P. All right, let's check from our diagram, D to P, this one. Is it 1 mark with these calculations? Okay, so from D to P, we can find from D to A and A to P, okay? DA plus AP. I don't know if there is another route because this can't be 1 mark. All right, anyways, maybe they just wanted to balance their marks. Okay, so DP is going to be D to A. Like I said, from here, D to A and A to P, or you can use DC plus CP. Still, you can have the same answer. So I'm going to use D to A, then A to P. Why am I using A to P? Because I'm given that from the ratio, A to P is 3 parts. A to P to C, it's 1 part. So meaning to say AC, this one is going to be 3 out of AC, which is 4 parts. So it's going to be 3 out of 4 of AC. So that is our DP is going to be DA. We take it from the diagram. From D to A. D to A is 3B. We are maintaining the arrow this time. So that will be 3B plus AP is this one that I was saying is going to be 3 out of 4 parts of AC because it's 3 parts, but the whole of AC has got 4 parts. So it's going to be 3 out of 4 of AC. And this is our AC here. So this one, we said AP is, okay. AP, okay, let me do this way. AP is 3 over 4 of AC. So we have AC in this case. This is our AC, which is negative 3B plus 2A. So you can just multiply. This part is going to give us 3B. 3 over 4 times negative 3B, that's negative 9 over 4B. 3 over 4 times a positive 2, that will be positive 3 over 2A. All right, so you're going to have positive 3 over 2A. Then just collect like terms. This is going to be B and B. So you can just take the A first on its own. 3 over 2 vector A. Then B, this is 3B, 9 over 4. So it's 3 minus 9 over 4. So you can simplify from your calculator. 3 minus 9 over 4, that will be 3 over 4, if I'm not mistaken. 3 over 4 vector B. All right, so just also cross-check for other simpler route because this one, okay, but that's it, 1 mark. Okay, item 4, we are now given to find the vector PA from P to point A. Where do we have PA? All right, so this is our PA. Remember, we calculated AP here. We calculated AP. So it's simply a continuation from that AP here on this part here. The question needs us to calculate PA. Take note, we want to calculate PA. But before here, we calculated AP. We said AP here is 3/4 of this, where we calculated this one, our AP. So we know that PA is simply minus AP. Remember what I said, if you're given vector AB, it's simply minus vector BA. So PA can be calculated from minus the vector of AP. So AP is the one that we simplified up to this stage here. So this is the stage that you are simply going to multiply by a negative. So that'll be B plus 3/2A. So you can simply multiply this by a negative. That will be positive 9/4B minus 3/2A, of which you can even use the proper root, guys. From A to P here, we can even get it from the diagram. A to P. Okay, P to A, 3, that will be the opposite, minus 3/4 of AC. So you can even do it that way. Or you can simply find AP, then you multiply by a negative. That is the easiest way that you can have. All right, simply 1 mark for that. Then the question number 12, we were given, that was the easiest question if you had to answer question 12. Okay, this one, as for me, it was just going to opt for this one. All right, we are given matrices there. Find AB, that is the product of the given matrices AB. So you're going to take the matrix A. So this is A. Okay, that is B12A. So AB simply means matrix A times matrix B. So this is going to be, our matrix A was -2. Remember, our matrix A was -2, 3, 1, 4, like this, times matrix B, which was -1, 4. So what you need is to check the order first before you multiply to see, is it proper? Is it going to be proper for us to multiply or not? All right, so this is a 2 by 2 matrix multiplied to a 2 by 1 matrix. So it's actually possible. We've got 2 and 2 here. So that means our answer is going to be a 2 by 1 matrix. Our answer is going to be a 2 by 1 matrix. So the multiplication is just to check. This one is just to check, is it proper? Is it possible for us to multiply or not? Now we can multiply using the concept row by column. So let us multiply -2 times 1. That will be +2 plus 3 times 4, which is 12. We are done with this row and this column. We move on to this row and the only column that we have. We only have one column there. 1 times -1 plus 4 times 4, which is 16. So we can combine this. 2 plus 12, that will be 14. -1 plus 16, this is going to be 15. So as you can see, our answer is a 2 by 1, 2 rows, 1 column. So that was question 12A. Then 12B, we are given to solve if f of x is equal to this, and solve this f of x, which is equal to -3. So take note, f of x is now equal to 3, but before, this f of x here was equal to this. So they are just equal. F of x is equal to this, f of x is, so these two, they are just equal. So it simply means that 3x squared, 3x squared minus 5x minus 1 is equal to the same f of x that we have on the other side, which is -3. So we have formed an equation that we are supposed to solve for x. How can we solve for x? We can transpose 3x squared minus 5x. We transpose 3 to the other side so that it's going to be a +3. So it's -1 plus 3. It was a negative, so it's going to be a +3 is equal to 0. So you're going to have 3x squared minus 5x minus 1 plus 3. That is going to be +2 is equal to 0. So you can use factorization, quadratic formula, whatever method. So here let us utilize factorization. Last time we used quadratic formula. So this time let us just try to use factorization. Multiply the first term to the last term, 3 by 2. That will be 6x squared. Do we have factors here of 6x squared? But these factors, if you add them, they will give you the middle term minus 5x. That is -3x and -2x. Yes, these two numbers. All right. So you can substitute this into the middle term of -5x. That will be 3x squared minus 3x minus 2x plus 2, which is equal to 0. So you can divide this into 2 by grouping into 2. That is, we can factor out what is common. 3x is common. 3x squared and 3x, that will be x minus 3x divided by 3, that will be minus 1. So to obtain x minus 1, we must factor out a negative so that this can be a positive. It's a negative there. So if we factor out negative 2, therefore it is going to be positive x. 2 divided by negative 2, that's minus 1 is equal to 0. So since the two brackets are the same, we can factor out the common bracket of x minus 1. We remain with 3x and minus 2. So 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. So thus obtaining the possible values of x from each bracket must be equal to 0. So 3x minus 2 must be equal to 0 also. So x is equal to 1, or we transpose 2 to the other side, it is going to be a positive. So x is going to be 2 over 3 if we divide, because this is going to be 3x is equal to 2. Then you divide by 2 both sides. So factorization, yes, it's easy, but it's the steps. So you can even just use your quadratic formula. It's just inserting your values in your calculator, straightforward. Then you can obtain your answers by working them stage by stage. All right, so that was our first part. Here, let's check C. We are given the interior angles of a hexagon, same as the one that we had from paper 1, where we were given the interior angles of, it was a quadrilateral. Now they are saying it's a hexagon. So like I said, all you need is to find the sum. The question is asking you to find the value of x. We are talking about interior. So how do you find the number? I mean, the sum of interior angles of any polygon, that's n minus 2 times 1/8, where n is the number of sides, a hexagon, 6 sides. So 6 minus 2 times 180 degrees is going to give us 720. That's 4 times 1/8, which is 720 degrees. Meaning to say, the angles of this hexagon together combined, they add up to 720. So if we combine these angles, 82 degrees plus 94 degrees plus 109 degrees plus x plus 2x plus 3x, if we add everything here, we must obtain 720 degrees. So what have we formulated? It's an equation for x. So we can solve for x. So add the numbers together, 84 plus 94 plus 104. This was going to give you 285. Then we add the variables to this part of x, the variables together, that's 1 plus 2, which is 3, plus 3, which is 6. So we are going to obtain 6x, which is equal to 720. Transpose 285 to the other side of the equation. That will be a negative 285. So 720 minus 285 is 435. So if we divide by 6 both sides, that's obtaining the value of x, which was going to be 72,5. All right, so x in this case is 72,5. All right, so there was 3 marks for that. All right, then D, solve the inequality. So we are given the inequality here, where we can simply collect our terms together for x. Transpose minus x minus 3x is greater than, transpose 5 to the other side, it is going to be 2 minus 5. So minus x simply means minus 1x. So it's minus 1 minus 3, which is minus 4x, is greater than 2 minus 5, which is minus 3. So to find x, you divide by -4, you divide by -4. But remember what I told you guys, dividing by a negative under inequalities reverses the inequality sign that you are given. So this will give us a positive, yes, but the inequality sign reverses. So this will be 3/4. So x is less than 3/4, or x is less than 0.75, which is as a decimal. All right, so this was the whole paper of paper 2 June 2023 exams, all level mathematics. So okay, so that is what we had, guys. So let us continue to tune in for more. For those who are writing November, make sure that you invite others to our family. Maison African Motifs. Be part of the family by subscribing, and also don't forget to share our platform to your friends and colleagues so that they also benefit from this channel, from our videos that you're having on our revisions as we prepare for our exams, which are ahead of time. So let's invite others, update someone about Maison African Motifs. Let just your friend know about Maison African Motifs. This can actually help us as a community to grow our community as a whole. But for now, guys, that's it. Till we meet again.